Rules and Principles of Submission Grappling by Nigel Law. Okay, so this is a little aphorism on weight, the use of your weight. You need to learn the correct use of your weight. Even though you are smaller, lighter, and less strong than your opponent, you move him and he does not move you. Even though you are lighter than your opponent, he complains about how heavy you are. But when he is on top of you, there is no weight. This is the correct use of your weight. Weight is not a fixed thing, even for the same weight. You may lift a heavy metal bar quite easily, but a large balloon filled with liquid of the same weight would be more difficult to lift. You may have no difficulty lifting a chair that is close to you, but at arm's length you may injure yourself trying to lift it. You may push off a heavy load easily, but removing a piece of paper can be very hard if it is sticky. You can lift a solid easily, but how much water can you lift with no container? So when you want to lift him, he is a stiff metal bar, and when he wants to lift you, you are a liquid for him. So this aphorism is on rhythm, on tempo. Rhythm is little discussed in fighting, but is very important. Each fight can be seen to have a rhythm, and the person who controls it is the one who dominates. The two fighters end up synchronizing to a rhythm. If they did not, the fight would be over quickly. If you find yourself in a fight where you are being dictated to, chasing to keep up, reacting to all your opponent's moves, regain the dominance of the rhythm of the fight. Just being aware of rhythm and thinking about it will help you. Often the fight will happen at one pace, but if you want to win, you will have to utilise changes in rhythm to gain advantage over your opponent. For example, if the fight is happening to a particular rhythm with move and counter move, you can gain an advantage by moving very rapidly to a surprising place. If you find a fighter difficult to deal with and don't know why, it will be because of differences in rhythm. So one of the main ideas of a martial art is so that somebody who isn't as strong can beat somebody who is stronger than them. So this is a little section on strength. I've done a couple on them. If your opponent is stronger, bigger, more fit than you, you may find it necessary to tire him before you try to finish him. It is like the deep sea fishermen and how they catch the big fish. How you do this is in the following ways. Make him move. If you can keep him on the move, making him travel more than you, this will tire him quicker than you. If he is heavier than you, he will tire quicker than you if you travel the same distance, because he is having to move his heavier weight. If he is a lot heavier than you, then you may even make him tired, moving less than you. Some people are so big and heavy, even if they look quite fit, that they have an intense dislike of moving. They quickly become frustrated, stop moving, and launch an attack. They may even succumb to a poor position just to be able to stop moving. You may decide to forego this offered position, keep moving, and make them more tired and frustrated before engaging. You can make him move by encouraging him to believe he is about to gain something, such as a hold down, but at the last moment you mysteriously manage to avoid it. You hold out the bait again and make him chase it again. Make him move you. For example, if you have a hold down and he tries to lift you, and your main resistance to this is your weight, he is putting the energy in to move you, and you are not putting the same energy in. If you finish in the same hold down position as before, you now have a better position, because it is the same position as before, but now your opponent has less energy. You can make him move you to cause him to lose strength and energy by, for example, having him in a good hold down and then pressing the point of your elbow into his jaw line and leaning your weight into him. To stop your attack, which is costing you very little energy, he may lift your weight up off his, which costs him a lot of energy. Make him power up. If you jog 100 meters, you will lose far less energy than if you sprint 100 meters, even though it is the same distance. If you sprint at your maximum fastest speed, you will burn through all your energy and temporarily have no energy at all. You will struggle to even breathe. Burning power is not a linear relationship. It is to the power relationship. In other words, if you want to double the strength, you will need to put in something like 4 times the power, not double. If you can induce your opponent to power up while you ride, contain it, or disperse it in some way, he will be burning energy, not double yours, but to a power of yours. Flow. You can only gain flow when you gain experience. It is not an alternate reality. It has a feeling of clarity, of hyper-reality. If you have ever driven a car with the handbrake on for a time, flow feels like when you take the handbrake off. Flow is a wonderful feeling. Everything is easy and smooth, and losing is impossible. You are in the zone. You are not thinking in the normal way. It is more like watching yourself work and talking to yourself. You have time even to admire what you are doing as you go. When you are in a state of flow, you let it ride. Who knows how long it will stay, when, if ever, it will come back. You will have times when you can slip into flow as naturally as putting on a pair of shoes. Just as quickly you can be like a newborn lamb, disconnected from your own self. Desperateness. Some days you have the opposite of flow, when everything feels difficult and nothing goes to plan. Maybe something has put you off your game. You feel disconnected from your own self. When this happens, you must fight through it. Always fight. You will have a hanging on feeling. You must hang on. It will gradually get better the longer you persevere. Afterwards, you must remember the feeling of how difficult it was at the start, but how it began to turn for the better. You will be able to draw on this in future. You must not give up without fully fighting. You will gain more satisfaction from winning this fight than you will from 100 that were easy. It is similar to pain. It is surprising how much you can actually take. You need to educate yourself. If you survive this fight, it will become your new level, and you will be proud of yourself. You must have had times where you have been surprised at how quickly and easily someone has tapped, and you have felt shame on their behalf. Remember this feeling and use it to push you on, to never let it happen to you. You should also remember fights where you could not believe how much punishment someone has taken and not given in, and how dangerous you felt this fighter to be. Use this to spur you on. In fighting, you are aiming to be in complete control, relaxed, in what is known as flow, the zone, linked to the idea of Zen in Japanese. When that happens, fighting is easy. Thinking becomes different. The fight happens in slow motion, and you know what is going to happen before it happens. Your senses do not happen in the same way. You do not have individual senses like smell or touch or sound. You have one whole sense. You cannot tire and you cannot feel pain. The twin to this way of fighting is its opposite, desperateness. This is when everything is against you. You face crushing defeat and exhaustion. All your senses are separate. You feel everything, sight, sound, heat and cold, and you feel everything in pain. Your mind will have a visitor who offers you the comfort of defeat and shows you the agony of resisting. It tells you that the only thing stopping you having this wonderful comfort is your own silly pride. And isn't pride wrong? This is where your training can come to your rescue. If you train yourself well to respond to this situation, your body will respond by itself while you are debating and come to your aid and act correctly. Psychopaths. The strong, simple way to introduce this to you is to remind you that some people are psychopaths. You will come across people who are cruel. Some people get pleasure out of hurting other people. At extremes, these people are aware of what they are and become devious to try to hide it. You should know these people. They will try to look for weaknesses in you, try to sow discord in your club so that they can operate as they wish under the cover of chaos. If you are invincible, they will not challenge you, because of course they are a form of coward at heart. If you have to confront them, do it coldly. If they do not stop, they have to leave. Some people get pleasure, or do not seem to mind at least, getting hurt themselves. They smile as they talk to you about how their broken arm protruded from their skin. They look confused and then laugh as they see you have gone pale. If you remember, when you were younger, there were certain people who would do dangerous things to show off that you would never dream of doing. Some of those people grow out of it. Some end up in prison, and some dead. These people are not devious. They just need you to give them the boundary of other people for them, because they do not know it themselves. If you have their respect, they will take direction on this from you very happily, and they will not be offended. Devious people, on the other hand, are easily offended, and you will literally be able to see in their eyes them planning their revenge on you. Fear. Fear is, of course, a natural reaction. What is happening is your body is giving you a huge boost of energy and adrenaline to take the first and obvious solution to danger, which is to run away. Remember, this is the first option. If that option is not appropriate, then you must master your fear, like taming a horse. If you can tame it, it will become a fantastic tool for you. In my experience, there are two types of fear, hot and cold. A hot fear is about a distant threat. Your worries build fear higher and higher, getting hotter. A hot fear makes you feel like your heart may explode. How you deal with this is simply to freeze your mind. It cannot be said in a simpler way than that. Let your mind bring your body under control. Speak to yourself calmly and slowly. A cold fear or a cold sweat is an instant fear. You have jumped to peak fear instantly, taking you cold. A cold fear is one where you feel you may faint. Let your body bring your mind out of this. What you need to do is warm up, move fast, act. When you are coming out of this cold fear, you may even choose for yourself a more helpful mental state. Maybe it would be more helpful and appropriate to be angry, for instance. Your answer to a hot fear is mentally led. Your answer to a cold fear is physically led. You are bringing your physical and mental sides closer together. Principles. When you have reached a high level, you should look for general principles that can be applied in different situations. It is the general principle that is important. Look for these in successful places. If you can spot a general principle, it will lead to new finishes, new escapes, a deeper understanding. It will give you the ability to beat opponents who are bigger, fitter, stronger. The following will possibly give ideas to find them. One principle is do the opposite. When you are trying to do something and not succeeding, you may find success by doing the opposite of your intention. If you cannot move one way, you may be able to go the opposite way. If holding isn't working, what would happen if you let go? If pulling isn't working, what would happen if you pushed? Instead of going forward, go back. Doing the opposite is a good way of finding new ideas, new solutions. This is a very fruitful principle. In fact, it has probably brought more success than anything else except the basics. I'll finish with courage. Courage. This is coloured in my mind by the idea of courage from World War One. Imagine being in the trenches in World War One, under constant bombardment for days. The sheer horror of what they saw, the debilitating constant fear and lack of rest. Then when they broke, they were called coward. This is not what I want to talk on. I only feel able to talk about this in the following narrow way. Cowardice in terms of facing fear and the difference between dangerous showing off and courage. Some people do scary things. Young boys often run across factory roofs for fun, and others decide not to do this. Are the ones on the roof brave and those who refuse cowards? Or are the people on the roof not brave because they do not see the danger? Are the people who refuse to go up brave for saying no? To decide who is brave, you will have to wait for an incident such as the following. You are in a group. One of your group is attacked. There is no doubt of the danger. Everyone can see it. Who goes to their aid and who runs away? In my experience, it is more likely the people who do not go on the roof. So, rules and principles of submission grappling. So it's not written, so you can see how it's written. It's more of a thought, more of a process. So even if you're not into martial arts, I hope that little book appeals to you. Happy reading, everybody. If you got this far, well done.